Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Everyday Night. I'm Joe.
And I'm Jeff.
And Jeff.
Yes, sir. Present.
Present here and accounted for.
Affirmative.
It's still cold out. Well, a cold snap.
It's cold again.
Cold again. But I started to see notices about upcoming commencements.
Yes.
Sometime I'll have to share my matriculation address that I wrote, which was something I wrote that instead of advice given at commencement, it's advice when they're starting, which is what I could have used. And so I wrote this, and actually my alumni, the student paper at my undergrad college published it. And so sometime we'll have to go for that. But something came up that you suggested, which was a commencement address. And
Yes.
nine life lessons, including 9 life lessons. And that's what we're going to talk about.
Right. And this is by an Australian author-actor named Tim Minchin.
Yes.
Whom I never heard of before until I saw this video sometime. And we'll put a link to the video in the comments. And it's very amusing. It's very poignant, but it's also humorous and has its serious side. I think it's very good. It's one of the best speeches to a graduating class I've heard. That isn't, Eisenhower or somebody like that. I mean, it was a good choice for a speaker speaking to a bunch of college students. I did not attend my college commencement ceremony.
Oh. Well, I was thinking of not, but my mother insisted, and I'm glad I did. And of course attended the one for grad school. The undergrad speaker was Newton Minow, former head of the Federal Communication Commission, who was a alumnus of Northwestern, and said famously that television is a vast wasteland.
Yes.
And for my for graduate school, it was an actor who's been on the Law and Order series a lot, and he attended the university, and I'll remember his name in a moment.
I didn't decide this based on any kind of moral ground or anything like that. It was, at the time, I had taken full loads of classes every semester, including summer. So I got my undergraduate degree in 3 years instead of 4, but it meant I ended my year at the end of summer instead of in June like everybody else. So, I mean, out of the 400 classmates I had, there were probably 20 of us who ended our, finished school a year before everybody else. And so I could have waited around for a year and then paid the $300 fee to do my commencement, and I decided neither of those were worth sticking around for. Neither the ceremony nor the fee.
Yeah, I did it. I did my undergraduate mostly for my mom. And I did my graduate for me, commencement. So, the 10th piece of advice that he did not include is the saying, "What are you drinking this evening?"
Oh, well, not so much.
And I guarantee you, in the audience for commencement, there are more than a few flasks there.
Yeah, I bet. I have a basic sort of an old-fashioned you may chastise me if you wish. It was the Penelope bourbon that I had last time, one other time, with some old-fashioned mix from a jar, and I have topped it off with some Fever Tree ginger beer, and it's quite nice. It's lovely. I don't listen to them. It's all right. If you enjoy it, drink it.
Yes.
Don't be a snob about it. Oh, well, I said that word.
You said that word. Yes, because you confuse tasteful discernment and an educated palate with some sort of snobbery. I'm not looking down on you. I am disappointed, but I'm not looking down on you.
Okay, well, thanks, I guess.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You know how important your good opinion is to me.
I probably not as much as it should be.
Well, clearly it doesn't extend to my choice of beverage for the evening. So what are you gonna impress everyone with?
Well, this is wishful thinking because, as we said, it's gotten cold again, and this is something I usually think of as a summer drink, a vodka and tonic.
Oh,
The vodka is Absolute Juice, which is a pear and elderflower vodka with a little bit of lemon juice, because I prefer lemon juice with a vodka tonic, and Fever Tree
instead of what?
Lime juice.
Oh, okay.
So gin and tonic often has lime juice.
Right.
I find a vodka and tonic with lemon juice works better, and to my taste, and Fever Tree Light tonic water.
Yeah.
So
Very good.
So there. I did see an announcement of about opening day for baseball coming up, and that's to me a sign of spring. And that's always a good thing. So
yes, I heard on the radio that the Cincinnati Reds are the traditional opening game, and there's one actually the night before, a game before that opening day game by the Cincinnati Reds, but I don't follow baseball, so
yeah, I'm follow with interest a former student of mine who was just traded to the Yankees, so he's now playing for the Yankees. So
okay, cool.
That'll be interesting. I may have to see if when they're playing locally, see if I can go to a game and say hi. So he was a good student too. So this commencement speech he delivered in 2013. Yes.
Well, at some point, okay, go ahead and give an intro, and then we'll take a little mini break so that if people want to go and watch the video now,
okay. Yeah, they can pause this too. But 2013, he was invited back to his university to deliver the commencement address. He got an honorary doctorate, delivered the commencement address. He at the University of Western Australia, where he earned a bachelor's in English and theater. And he's, as you said, an actor, an author, a comedian, and he had 9 pragmatic life lessons. And if you want to watch his speech, go click on the link included in the description, and you can watch it. You can pause this, watch his speech, come back, and we'll talk about his 9 points.
And I'm going to have a drink while I wait for you to come back.
Okay. And welcome back.
Welcome back.
The first one is, I think it's the contrary to what I've heard in so many stereotypical, boring ass commencement speeches. Follow your passion, follow your dream.
Yes.
And his point is you don't have to have a dream. And I've seen this. He said, I didn't dream of being a comedian. I just did some comedy because it was fun. And then I found I was quite good at it. And this is, I've heard from other people saying, don't follow your passion, follow your purpose and get good at something, and you will develop a passion for it.
Right.
And I've seen other variations on that. The purpose of life is not to be happy, but to matter. Although with that one, I'm reminded of something that, a story about John Lennon, who said that when he was in school, they were all asked what they want to be when they grow up, when he was in whatever the equivalent of elementary school is over there. And he's
Primary school.
Primary school. And he said, they said, what do you want to be when you grow up? He said, happy. And he said, when you don't understand the question, he said, no, you don't understand life.
You don't understand my answer.
Right. So, but I think that he found something he was really good at and developed a passion. I mean, it can, for some people, it comes at the same time.
Sure.
The passion and the doing, but the people find passion through the doing. And I was talking to people about AI in writing. It's like, and in a seminar I attended where they were talking about how it's useful in reducing cognitive load. It's like, I don't want to reduce my cognitive load or students' cognitive load. That's where you learn, by increasing the cognitive load. By you learn. Writing helps me clarify what I think about something, and thinking about something helps improve my writing. So it's the doing. Doing is important.
Sure. And
So,
I always thought it was best to follow my aptitude,
yeah,
not so much my passion or my purpose. I mean, when you're
find something you're good at.
yeah, when you're 17, you don't have a purpose. I mean, unless you're extremely lucky, or I don't know, some sort of emotionally stunted person who's just looking at what can I do for the rest of my life, rather than discovering life along the way.
Yeah, and I agree that there's discovery along the way, but purpose doesn't. That's a different way of looking at purpose. Your purpose in doing something that matters. That as a purpose. Not,
Okay.
yeah,
But I think it needs to matter
a
to
purpose,
you.
not necessarily your finding a purpose, finding something that matters, and then doing that. But I agree with you, following your aptitude. And that's one of the problems I have with higher education now, that people view the university as if it's some kind of expensive job training.
Yeah.
And I think ideally it's an area where people can find their aptitude by studying, trying many different things. But it's gotten expensive, and there's a number of reasons for that. And so students tend to come in very focused on, this is what I'm going to study, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a degree, and I'm going to get out, and I'm going to get a job, and I'm going to pay for it, and all of that. And I started college thinking I was going to be one thing or another, and I ended up being something completely different, doing something different that I had aptitudes for. But I have a lot of aptitudes. Just picking one has always been the challenge. So,
Well, sure. I played a pretty good game of ping pong at the time, but I still had to consider, what can I do to keep, as they say, body and soul together,
yeah,
that wouldn't completely suck my soul away
yeah,
by the time I, was ready to stop doing whatever that was.
yeah,
So, as you and I both, we both ended up being graphic designers, one sort or another, following slightly different paths along that route, but in some ways, there are similar paths. So this is good. I think this is great. Like you said, it is a great sort of counter to the amorphous sort of follow your dreams. No one can stop you as long as you believe in yourself. And
Yeah.
I think that's something. And what you're saying he segues very nicely to the second one. But the first one partly is that you can be stopped. You can be stopped.
Yeah.
Don't let anything stand in your way. Sometimes there's things that just get in your way, and you have to figure out a way around them.
And take pride in your work. Do the thing that is in front of you and do it well. And you can discover all sorts of aptitudes doing that way. You can discover you can do things that you didn't think you could do because you never tried them before, or you didn't learn about them before. And again, that's one of the things with college, university education that I think is unfortunately much more difficult than it was back in the day to try many different things, to study many different things. So, his second point is don't chase happiness. You think about it too much, it'll go away.
His quote is great. Happiness is like an orgasm. If you think about it too much, it goes away.
Well, and as somebody else said, it's like trying to sneeze with your eyes open. Stay busy, make someone else's life better. Happiness sneaks in when you're not looking. And I think that, as in so many things, it's the definition matters.
Yeah.
How do you define happiness, contentment, satisfaction, all of those things? Joy. Happiness, when people talk about it in the abstract, they tend not to define those shades of meaning, those variations, those nuances of the emotion. And so, yeah.
Well, and it's also, like you said, the finding something that matters in some ways, that matters to you, doing the thing that matters to you, not necessarily the thing that will gain you renown, or that will set you up for life, or that will make an impact in or on whatever. That could just be raising functioning children.
Yeah.
I've heard lots of parents say, and I'm not one, so hard for me to comment to the contrary, but that they feel like their life was worthwhile because they raised functioning, kind, relatively happy adult children. And sure.
Well, and we talked about it before that I've felt that my years spent teaching, following my earlier career working in marketing and advertising, my years spent teaching were a better contribution to the world.
Yeah. I told you, I told you before you achieved these lofty heights in your current career that teaching was your calling.
Yeah.
You had to find your way to it by something that you were good at.
Yeah.
But teaching is what you should have been doing all along.
Yeah, and it's what I thought I was going to do coming out of undergrad.
Yeah.
But I was, when I finally got to it, I was better than I would have been beforehand.
Well,
but who knows how much better I would have been with that many more years, decades of experience doing it. So,
well, you are now you're a professional teaching young, hopeful professionals.
Yeah.
It's not just general teaching.
Yeah.
It's here's a thing I am an absolute certified expert in. Here's what I know, and presumably these are students who aren't like primary school students, as you mentioned
Right.
before. They don't have to be there. They've
Right.
chosen to be there to further themselves in this way, and you are there to help them in this particular way.
Yeah. And I have told undergrads in every class I've taught that I promise them first day of class that everything I tell them will be based on professional practice. And because that's their goal, is to become professionals in some related area of the subject matter I'm teaching, they're interested.
Right.
So,
And they should be. This isn't like a prerequisite or, general studies kind of a thing that they have to have the credit for to get their degree.
yeah.
It is essential to their success in a marketplace.
Yeah.
So,
So, and I thought one of the things that anxiety is actually a survival trait. That being concerned about the giant clawed toothed predator lurking just outside the fire is good for survival and passing on your genes. So yeah. So they say that the optimists stayed and died, and the pessimists left and lived. With regard to some of my ancestors in various countries.
well, there's also, we talk about this there's optimism and there's courage in the face of adversity, and, courage in the face of an unknown outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety is part of it. It's the other side of courage.
Well, yeah, being brave doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you do what you need to do in spite of your fear. Yeah.
So, well, you're right. Anxiety is, you can't have courage if you're not a little bit afraid.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, if we talk about the virtue of having courage to do the thing that's right and necessary, regardless of the possible dangers, it's admirable. But it's also admirable to recognize the possible dangers.
Yeah. Yeah. And his third point is that it's all luck.
It's all luck. In fact, the way he says it is, it's all luck.
Yeah, I think that when you consider the circumstances of the geography of where you're born, the time, the era, so many people I know without modern antibiotics, if they'd been born 150 years ago, would have suffered severe consequences, if not death, from various infections.
Or born 2,000 miles away.
Right. Yeah.
The same thing.
Or
same time, but in the wrong place.
Yep. So I think one of the principles I've heard and thought of and related to others is that it's luck, but when the lucky break happens, this is not just the luck of your birth, but as you're going through life, there'll be an opportunity. You have to have prepared yourself to take advantage of the luck. If you haven't done that, the luck, you'll lose out. You won't experience the luck because you won't have been prepared for it. So,
But I think it's also worth recognizing that sometimes you don't get that lucky.
yes.
Some there it is, and humility is part of this. When if we're
Yeah,
talking,
oh,
we've
yeah.
got to continually talk about the virtues here, and then and the you know you may have gotten the luck, you might have gotten the break.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're better than necessarily anybody you're talking to.
Right. And that's why humility is essential.
Right. And their circumstances are as much to do with luck as yours are.
Yeah.
So
And that's, and we've talked about this before, why it annoys me when somebody who has achieved some success in one area suddenly believes that they're qualified, fit to speak on everything, that their opinion on every damn thing matters, when
Right.
it doesn't. Not everybody has to have an opinion on everything, but the people who have been lucky and to be successful in one area, and there's ability, prowess involved,
right.
but there are people who are just as capable, just as skilled, who didn't get that opportunity.
Yep.
So
Didn't have the right family connection,
yeah,
or didn't
or
live in the right town, or
yeah, or just who, yeah, it's there's something called the burnt toast theory, that you you're making your breakfast, the toast is burnt, so you take an extra minute to make some more toast, and that delays you a
oh,
minute, so you don't get hit by the car at the traffic light, or you do get hit by the car at the
you
traffic
miss the
light,
bus,
or
or you
you miss the bus, or you make the bus. There have been movies about these alternate timelines just based on that burnt toast theory. And it's, yeah, humility, I think, is essential. So when I hear people mouthing off about stuff, and that people want to know what shirt you wear, like, you know,
right. Now, at the same time, I don't mind if someone who has a platform uses it to point out injustice. That's I
as long as they are doing so knowledgeably.
well, or humbly, as this is, I see this as wrong. And they can say I'm not an expert, but somebody needs to look into this. And if it's not me, I'm using my platform to say somebody should.
Well, I don't think that's enough. I'm just asking questions. JAQ, also known as jacking off,
Yeah.
JAQ, I'm just asking questions. Yeah, that's a dodge. And if you're going to say, I believe this is an injustice, okay, do your homework and be careful about the sources of information you are choosing to inform yourself, or let yourself be informed by. So yeah, I think that people who have a platform should use their voice for good. You just better make damn sure that what you're doing is for good.
Yeah.
You
Yes,
have a
of course.
responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility, right?
Right.
And that's not just if you're Spider-Man. That means, yeah, if people will listen to you, you better make damn sure that what you're saying is correct. And as somebody who teaches, who has stand in front of a classroom and said this, I also have told them, question everything. Said I have questioned or outright disagreed with something on almost every page of almost every textbook I've ever read.
And
And
this,
so if you can't, so if you disagree with me about something, that's fine, but gather your proof, gather your evidence, present it to me, and if I'm wrong, I'll change my mind.
sure.
But if I'm not, you haven't proved it. So I'm trying to teach them critical thinking as well, and finding good sources and how to evaluate them and all of that. So that's I'm trying to get them to understand that responsibility as well.
And
So
this jumps us past 4 to number 5 exactly in the list here. Is be hard on your opinions.
yes,
We'll go back to 4 in a second because it's also valuable. But another quote you've included here in our notes is, "I never allow myself to have an opinion on anything that I don't know the other side's argument better than they do."
yeah. My high school history teacher had us. He would have an issue, a historical issue. This was American history, and they had two sides of the argument, and he'd pick two people, and it was usually me and a friend of mine, and he'd assign us which which topic, which side of it we were going to defend.
Yeah,
Whether or not we agreed with it, that wasn't the assignment.
right.
To agree with it, the assignment was to find out about it and to be able to argue it. And to do so, you had to understand the counter argument really well. I always smoked him, but it was that's really useful. And so you have to, if you're going to make a professional presentation to a client, trying to persuade them of something, to buy your thing or service or go a certain direction, you better understand what all their objections are likely to be.
Yeah,
And presenting the counter to those so that they never even come up is one way of doing it too. So yeah, be hard on your own opinions. Question yourself. There's too many people who are complacent in what they believe.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I tell people practice cognitive dissidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, think, rebel against yourself from time to time.
Yeah. And that's difficult for people to do.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, I know that I've undergone philosophical changes since my youth, and it was in and around college and the 10 years or so after that where my views on a lot of things changed because my views before that were extremely narrow.
Yeah.
They were what I, like everyone, they're the things you're fed as a child, reinforced by your peer group in a small community. And it's not until you get outside that community and you hear other people and you talk to the people that used to be the villain in your mind, and you realize that they're not villains. They've got ideas, they've got opinions, and they matter as much as yours do. And eventually, you might realize that some of their arguments make more sense than the platitudes that you've been fed your whole life.
Yeah. Well, and I've said to people that if you are completely accepting everything your parents told you or completely rejecting everything your parents told you, you're still being controlled by your parents.
Yeah.
You have to make up your own mind and come to your own conclusions. And again, I differentiate between conclusions and opinions. And evidence.
Yeah.
facts,
And that I
sources.
I have said, chances are I heard this and I don't remember the source and I'm just parroting it, but I've said if you believe everything your parents did, everything your parents do, and you're doing everything your parents did, what are you for?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
How do you move society forward? How do you contribute if your
well, and
parents
again,
are already doing it?
finding a purpose, you know,
Yeah,
and
sure.
it's more than just continuing the species, I would hope.
Yeah.
For some people, that seems to be all. So,
So skipping back to
back. Yeah.
4
Yep.
was exercise.
Exercise. And this, of course, is people, the, it simply means moving.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean being a competitive athlete. It doesn't mean extreme and taking everything to an extreme level.
right.
It means being consistent, which is a value in itself. That consistency in doing that. Do something, move, walk, get out in the sunshine.
Well, Tim Minchin, the transcript here, you don't need to be an athlete. Just jog, swim, throw a frisbee. Your future 80-year-old self will thank you. And that's true, right? I mean,
Yeah,
exercise is just like you say, just keep moving, even if it's just a little bit, just so that you can stay on your feet.
yeah, and I find that the flip side of that is that a lot of people have trouble sitting still, and the being able to do both may each makes the other better.
Yeah.
If you're able to actually sit still and still your mind and meditate, that makes your awareness, your and your ability to move better as well. Being able moving gives you a increased ability to sit still and still your mind as well.
And I've always found it interesting when I'm exercising, when I'm working out, when I'm doing something, I'm not listening to anything. I Every person I see in the gym has an earbud in or headphones on or something, and I don't need to have my mind distracted while I'm doing this thing. My mind, and I prefer to be aware of my body
While you're
in a
doing it.
quiet mind while I'm working out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I
Um,
could see if you're on a treadmill for 40 minutes, which I've been told by fitness people that 40 minutes on a treadmill every day is not doing you any real good.
well,
If you can't walk at all and you can make your way up to doing 40 minutes on a treadmill, great. But don't think of that as cardio. Walking on a treadmill for 40 minutes.
well, I don't want to get into giving specific fitness advice here,
Well, okay.
but you know, so and his sixth point is be a teacher at least for a bit. And I think that my transition into teaching felt pretty easy because I realized I'd always been teaching. I'd been teaching colleagues and people I worked for, reported to, and clients and people who reported to me, and I'd always been teaching. And it was just a different way of organizing the information, a more structured way of organizing the information and the interactions. It's it's good, and I recommend it. And It doesn't have to be in a classroom.
Right.
But if you have something to share, people will want, if it's worthwhile, if what you have to share is worthwhile, people will want it.
I've been in my line of work for 35 years, and probably 36, I guess. And I had to learn a lot when I started, although I entered the industry I'm in when it was changing, when it was going through a transition. So I've been watching the transition of the business happen for the last 35 years, and teaching new people as they come into the business, the industry, hands-on type stuff that I did back then, don't do anymore, but the skills aren't gone and the lessons learned are still valid. So, and of course there's our SCA sub-career that we both continue to teach in. That's been more rewarding than my professional teaching, the aspect of teaching in my professional thing, because it's like with you, these are people who've come to this thing who want to do it.
Yeah.
They want to do it. They want to get better at it. They want to excel at it. They're hungry for knowledge. They want to know most of them want to know what tip, what trick, what's the thing? How do I do that thing you do that makes you great? And it's like, that's not what, I'm not that great. And that wasn't that thing that did it.
Yeah.
That's just
somebody asked me, well, what's the secret to being good? And I looked around conspiratorially and I motioned them closer. I said, practice. But you got to practice the right things.
Yeah.
And that's true. That's true in anything. And I tell it in a classroom too, the students. Yeah, don't expect the first time you do this thing that's going to be great and perfect.
Yeah.
That's why you turn in a draft and I work with you on it. And, I'm not fixing it for you, but I'm telling you how to fix it.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why I dislike the AI, the way it's being used to write for people.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's taking away the part that you really need to, that iterative part where you good at, where you learn how to get good at something. And actually this event I went to, this day-long series of sessions about AI, the keynote speaker was talking about that. And that was his big issue with it. It's like, here, people are using it here's this loop, and people are using it here, and that's the part where you don't want them to use it. They're using it to substitute for that, and you're never going to actually improve skills doing that way.
Well, there's a whole generation of students now who never faced the blank page.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you write a prompt, you write, here's what I'm trying to do, tell me how to do it. and
there was one session, and I mean, there were a lot of good ones where, and maybe this is something I should talk about more. A lot of good ones where these were educators at a lot of different levels, and talking about the challenges and the uses and what not to do and policies. And so there's a lot of good stuff there. The worst session was a professor of human resources who was trying to be
professor of human resources.
Yeah, he teaches human resources management.
Okay.
And he's it's interactive. There's paper on your tables, and do this thing and write stuff and tell me what you wrote. But it always came back to, and here's what I think about it, and here's what you should think about it. And he was condescending and completely ignored everybody's points unless they agreed with him. And it was just, that was the only bad one I went to, but there were a lot of I didn't get to. I mean, you know,
There could have been lots of bad ones too. But.
yeah. But at the end of this, the keynote speaker came up to me at one point and said, "Yeah, I was in a session with you, and you asked a lot of good questions, and I really agree with you on a lot of your points." And at the end of the day, he was speaking, giving some closing remarks and taking questions. And I raised my hand. And as they brought the microphone over to me, he went, "Uh-oh." Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I was a troublemaker. I was questioning. I went to question my own thinking, as we were just talking about, but also to question assumptions and premises and conclusions and attitudes. So, okay. Uh, define yourself by what you love, not by what you're against.
Boy, that's good. That's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
well. Oh, I should point out the teacher thing speaks to the virtue of generosity.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that
Yep.
you're sharing in a respectful way the things you have worked to get. Right? It's so you worked to get this thing, and now you're giving it away to somebody else,
Yeah.
hoping that they will carry on the work.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah. So define yourself by what you love.
You know, and this is an interesting question I've been pondering about taking things I've been teaching and packaging them in a way that I could put them online and monetize them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh man, something about that just rubs me the wrong way. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure why. I need to think about that more. So,
Well, but think of it as that monetization is just what allows you to do it. Is
yeah.
what
Yeah.
you know. The time you spend doing it needs to be not paid for, but this is part of supporting your
The
self, your
ability to do it,
lifestyle.
yeah.
What gives you the ability to share it
Yep.
needs to be supported somehow.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. A former student asked if I would supervise an independent study. I asked my department chair if I would get paid for doing that. And he said no. And I said, oh, I'm not going to do it then. So I said, no, I'm sorry. Have other commitments. So,
Right. That's a factor.
yeah. So, so define yourself by what you love. It is so easy, and so many people now are critics of everything.
Sure.
And
Well, it's always been easier to be a critic than a creator. Right?
yeah.
We know
Not
this.
positive about anything. Yeah, what's the quotation? It's not the critic, but the man who enters the arena who matters. Right. Truman? Teddy Roosevelt?
Yes, it could be. I think you might be right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is again the not defining not defining yourself by my elite knowledge of this thing that you're into thrash metal or whatever. I only listen to this.
I only listen to early thrash metal, the original thrash metal.
Yeah. If you're not into jazz fusion, I don't think you have any taste in music at all.
Now that's, I don't say that.
I didn't say you said that.
No.
But you heard somebody who said it.
I do, but it's not me.
I didn't say it was you. You're getting a little defensive.
I'm not. Yeah.
Because, and I know you don't only listen to jazz fusion, and you don't claim, oh, well, anything else is
No, I
derivative.
like jazz fusion.
Sure.
I listen to a lot of jazz fusion and have, but I listen to a lot of other things too.
Yeah.
And
I've got,
I have shocked my students repeatedly when I've told them that most people stop listening to new music about the age of 26 or 27,
mhm,
which is coincidentally the age where a lot of rock musicians have died
right.
at that age. And they go,
Which is a weird,
oh,
I don't know that anybody's ever made anything of that. It's just a
I don't,
weird
it's a
coincidence.
weird coincidence. And they'll say, well, no, I never, I'll say, well, there are exceptions. I still listen to music that's new. So really, it's like, we don't need to talk about that. About what I'm listening to, but I guarantee you, I'm listening to stuff you've never heard of. So, yeah, because it's so easy now, so much easier to find new music because you can choose that in one of the streaming music channels and say, I want new music in this genre.
Yeah.
And you can do that and it'll feed you new stuff and you like it or don't like it and it'll start curating the stream.
And
So,
that is,
it's interesting.
that's part of the reason, or one of the things I dislike about subscription services like Spotify,
Yeah.
for instance, where it's like, you're just feeding me stuff I already like. Give me
Something new. Yeah.
something new.
Yeah.
Give me something that's completely, and I can thumb it down or downgrade it or whatever, but I would rather go out and look for things and say, ooh, I'll include that. I'll put that in my playlist. But Spotify won't put together a playlist like my playlist.
Yeah.
It can't.
I remember back in the day going to the record store to the cutout bin. The cutouts were records that a hole had been punched in the corner of the sleeve, so they were discounted.
Right?
And I got some great stuff that way for cheap. I got some really bad stuff too that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Hungarian metal band that
Wow.
that was yeah, it was awful. It was awful. Um, you know, I think it was credit to them. It was daring for them to be a Western style metal band. When in the era when they were recording that,
Mm.
that's that was pretty ballsy to do that. But the music was not great. But I applaud their courage at doing it. Um, yeah, so I think also try things. You may find that you like stuff. Don't just. I
Sure.
mean, that's part of what we're both saying is don't just stick to what you already know you like. Try something new. Um,
And sure, it's fun to sing along with the old standbys,
yeah,
right? I
yeah,
was talking to somebody, one of the young guy I work with, and he had gone to a St. Patrick's Day bar crawl thing, and and he said, I couldn't believe it. Well, the band that was there was terrible, he said, because they they played some traditional Irish stuff, but they towards the end of the night they pulled out a Dropkick Murphys tune, and he found that to be offensive because it's not traditional enough for St. Patrick's Day. He said, and then with infinite disgust, they started playing Sweet Caroline and what was the other one? Oh, John Denver song Rocky Mountain High, not Rocky Mountain High. West Virginia.
Something Country Road.
Country Roads. Country
Yeah.
Roads is the title. And I said, and he was absolutely disgusted by it. And I said, well, okay, they're playing to white people. Okay, that's just
Yeah.
and you can hold yourself above all that. But it also kind of pointed out. I tried to point out that's the whole Sweet Caroline thing seems to be just like this recent thing where, because that came out in the 70s, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think I have a theory that it was a black comedian, and I couldn't tell you who, but it seems to me I seen a black comedian. Might have been Trevor Noah actually, but I wouldn't swear to that. Who said something about, boy, white people just love that Sweet Caroline song, and now suddenly it's a thing. Now it's a resurgent phenomena. I find it weird, but I've seen it happening too.
Yeah, it strikes me as one of those wedding band kind of things. But maybe it's the rise of karaoke that
Oh my God,
doing that,
maybe.
because it's
But karaoke started in the 90s, and this feels like a much more recent thing where we hear Sweet Caroline at every gathering of melanin challenged people. And
okay.
but further, I want to get some of the further parts in this
Yes.
from his speech where he says, "Say thank you, clap hard, laugh loud." I think that's really important.
Yeah. Yeah.
When
It's
you
so
are-
easy for people to be a critic, and so much harder for them to say, "Hey, this is really good," and because people are not paying attention as much either. They're
self-absorbed.
television. Well, they're not focusing. Television shows, movies, other kinds of entertainment are now adding in repetition they would not have, because they know, on streaming services anyway, people are also looking at their phones at the same time. And so they'll miss stuff unless it's repeated. And it's like, pay attention. If you're having dinner with someone, don't pull out your phone.
Right.
If you're for God's sake, if you're at a movie theater, don't be texting, scrolling, looking at your phone. Watch the fucking movie.
Unless you're some kind of emergency medical professional that's on call or something.
Yeah, and that's on vibrate, and
Yeah.
it vibrates, they'll get up and go out of the theater
Right.
and take the call. So
I agree with you.
yeah, pay attention, because if you actually pay attention, you might laugh loud, and
God forbid you might have a real life experience.
yeah. I was it's 10 years now, a little over 10 years, I think. We were in Paris. We went to the Louvre, and the Mona Lisa, of course, there are signs, Mona Lisa this way, and it's at one end of a room, and it's roped off, and it's behind glass. And I understand those precautions, but you can't really get very close to see it. I was lucky enough that when it was in New York, when I was a kid, my parents took us to New York, and I got to see the Mona Lisa up close. But the way people were looking at the Mona Lisa was like this, with their phones.
Right. Or even worse,
Or
with their
with
back to
tablets.
it. Or worse, with their back to it so they can take a selfie in its presence.
Or with tablets. So I went to the wall that it's on, not right next to it. I was outside the rope, the wall it was on, and I turned around and I took a picture of people taking pictures of the Mona Lisa. And that was my take on the Mona Lisa. And the guard looked at me and he said, "No, no, don't." He was telling me to stop. It's like everybody is taking a picture of this thing, but I can't take a picture of the people taking pictures. It was struck me as weird. But that's how people look at things now through the filter of a screen,
Yeah.
and that's how too many people experience things. So yeah, pay attention. You might actually have a reaction.
Pay attention. You get hit by a bus.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Respect people with less power.
That's a pretty obvious one.
Yeah.
I'm glad he included it.
Watch how people treat the waiter, treat the intern, treat the cleaner. Watch how people be. And over the past several years, I've gotten to interview for the book I was writing. I got to interview a lot of really well-known, successful people. They were really, by and large, really nice, really thoughtful. They took time. They were generous with their time. You know, their people often said, because I had to go through, for a lot of them, go through people to get connected, because the more successful they've got, an agent and a representative and a publicist and a agency and a manager and all that. And they'd get through and say, yeah, and they've only got 25 minutes, and we'd be talking for an hour.
Sure.
And it was great. And some conversations went on for 3 hours or more. Just amazing. Really thoughtful, nice, kind, generous people. You learn a lot from that sort of interaction about who people really are. And I've seen people snap their fingers at a waiter and be demanding and asking things, and it's like, don't you are not that important. I promise you, you're not that important.
And I wonder about how people who act like that, who behave it that way, and you see it in other aspects of life and business, where do you really have so little control over anything that you need to feel like you're in control of this?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It makes me sad for some people that, like, this, you don't need to, you have so little power in your life that you're going to try and grasp it here or display what, over this person who's just doing their job.
Yeah.
So
I found when I've had to call a customer service line, I am as courteous as I can be to the person on the other end of the line. I know it's a sucky job. I would not want to do that. And I know they've got a script. I've seen call center scripts before. I know they've got a script. I know. Yeah. And the thing you want to do is get them on your side. And you want to, so it's a tactic as well, but it's just, I don't, they're having a rough day already. If that's the job they're doing, they're already having a rough day. So I don't want to make it worse. You know what we've said before about a gentleman is someone who never insults anyone unintentionally. Yeah, I want to choose if I'm going to make somebody's day a bad day.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not going to be, so, but you catch more flies with honey.
Yeah.
So I'll be nice and can you, really hope you can help me with this. Okay, can somebody else help me with it? And just keep going on and so on. And, and eventually you get to somebody who can help. And
If you're persistent.
it takes perseverance, it takes fortitude, right? But also courtesy. So it works.
Well, I have a couple of incidents. One sort of the opposite of each other. One was I had purchased at a local grocery store, one of the large chain grocery stores here in Michigan, a particular brand of soda pop, right? 12-pack of this special limited edition flavor that I thought, ooh, that sounds lovely. I'll try it. Took it home.
Tangerine, leather, and raccoon.
Yeah, almost. It was like, yeah, it was a capybara instead of raccoon, but you were so close.
Oh, okay, good.
So I had
When they're fresh squeezed, so nice and perky.
so perky. So I consumed all of them, and I'd taken them back for the extortionate deposit that we pay here in Michigan compared to everywhere else. And I went to return my cans in a responsible manner, and it wouldn't take them. So I collected them all back up, and I went inside, and I said, I went to the customer service, but there's nobody there at the customer service counter. So I just looked around for somebody in a Myers shirt, and I've got my cart with these few cans in it, and it's a young woman and who wasn't walking fast enough, so I stopped her and I said, "Excuse me, I wonder if it would be possible for me to speak to a manager." And she went on the defensive. It was, well, I'm not sure I can find a manager. I could try and call somebody, but it might take them a long time, and they were just trying to get away from me. And I said, look, I just have I just want to ask a question about this particular can I'm trying to return. I'm not a situation. and she visibly relaxed.
Yeah.
Like, you're not in trouble. I'm not trying to make trouble. I want to point out that these cans that I bought here aren't being accepted by your automatic deposit thing. That's all I want. And she was like, oh, yeah, just a second, and I'll get somebody. And the guy came over, and, the first guy that came over said, well, I'm not sure I can do this for you, and he was putting me off. And I said, maybe you're not, is the general manager in the store at the moment? I mean, I take 5 minutes of his time tops. He said, well, I can ask, but he's really busy. Oh, okay, sure, I'll just ask. I'll be right here. And I just waited patiently. I didn't cause a scene. I didn't raise my voice. I was just a guy standing by his cart. And eventually, somebody came over, and I told him what the problem was. And he said, oh, well, I can take care of that. And he pulled a little, pocket. It looked like a big, massive phone. And he just looked it up, and he goes, oh, yeah, those codes hadn't gotten put in there. Here. Yeah, try it now. Was that it? That's all it took. It took me 20 minutes of talking to people and waiting for you to just go, oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah. And
So,
one of the management principles that I've studied is about pushing empowerment down to lower levels.
yeah,
And
I thought about that the whole time.
that's one of the things that FedEx did. I don't think they necessarily do that now, but it's one of the reasons that FedEx really gained a lot of traction early on, back when they were Federal Express, because they empowered people to do things at the lowest level. And one example was a FedEx Dropbox that couldn't, their mission, they all understood the mission. It absolutely has to be there. It has to get delivered. When it absolutely has to be there overnight, right? And one example of a guy who was just picking up. He's just a driver, a driver picking up packages from a Dropbox and taking them for distribution, and he couldn't open the Dropbox. It wasn't working. So he put chains around the Dropbox, pulled it off its base, put it in his truck, and took the whole Dropbox with him. And he did not get in trouble. He got rewarded by the company for his initiative and his imagination, finding a creative solution to the thing, and that pushing that response. If an organization runs on fear, of people getting in trouble instead of helping people, nobody's going to do that sort of thing. Oh, I just couldn't get it open. Yeah, well, what about the customers then who packages don't get delivered,
Now the opposite story, where I exercised my what little power one has as a customer. This was back when Minnesota Fabrics was still operating.
Yeah.
And this is back in probably the mid 80s.
Yeah.
We were
shortly after fabric was invented.
Right. Yeah. When they started getting away from drop weight looms. But this was when, you recall, when we did the wassail dinners that we put on as a group, and I was making my costume for that, and these were elaborate costumes. Yeah. And I was trying to get a certain
Elizabethan.
Yep. Yeah. So I was trying to get these particular buttons that I had seen at Joanne's, but they had like 6. Mm-hmm. Right? And these costumes required dozens of buttons. And
pre-internet, so you can't order them.
Pre-internet.
Right.
Yep. I couldn't go to Amazon and get it. So I went up, took one of the little cards, and I went up to the counter, and I talked to one of the little old ladies there. Mm-hmm. And I said, I wonder if I could talk to a manager about special ordering these cards. And she said, well, we only get buttons in once a month, and we can't pre-order, or we can't special order. I said, oh, surely that's not so. You can pre-order. She says, no, we don't do that. We can't do it. And I said, I'd like to talk to your manager about it, because, maybe you don't, maybe it is possible, and it hasn't come up, maybe. She said, well, I can talk to the manager, but I'll tell you that it's impossible. And I held the card up and I leaned towards her and I said, I know that I can get anything I want from anywhere in the world in 3 days, if I'm willing to pay for it. Let me speak to your manager.
Yeah.
So she went and got the manager, and she comes back, and she says, well, how can I help you? I said, I need to order a lot of these buttons. She says, I need a special order. How many do I have to order to get a special order? She said, I think it's 20. 20 cards? She says, no, like 20 buttons. 20 buttons. No, surely it's 20 cards. She looked it up again. She goes, oh yeah, you're right. That's 20 cards. I said, okay. How much is there a special charge? How long does it take to get them? She goes, well, it might take 4, maybe 5 days, and it costs $20 in addition to the buttons. And $20 on top of the buttons that I want to buy anyway. So that's correct. And I just cast my gaze at the old lady who was still standing there with her arms crossed, and I looked her right in the eye and I said, sold.
Yep.
And she huffed, and I literally huffed and walked away. And I was very nice to the lady who was helping me. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I knew it could be done.
Yep. Don't rush. That was his last point.
You're not behind. You're not late. Life is not a spreadsheet with deadlines and quarterly deliverables.
Take your time. Try stuff. Learn things. Eat something weird in a country you can't pronounce.
Well, not everybody has that. opportunity, but
That's true. Yeah. But yeah,
but it doesn't have to be going to another country. When you
yeah.
sit down at a restaurant or at a
Try something
wedding,
try something new.
yeah, or at least if it's served to you unexpectedly,
Yeah.
try it.
Have friends who say every time you try a new food that you like it, it's another 30 days of life.
Huh. Okay.
That's a nice.
How many do you lose if you don't like it?
I don't think it works that way.
Okay. Good. Phew.
Um,
Because
yeah,
I've
I
tried a
think.
lot of things that I do not. Sorry, I do not like that.
Yeah. I think that the flip side, and it's something I just heard, is that yeah, take your time. Don't rush, but realize you're not going to finish everything. There's going to be unfinished stuff. There's going to be the things that you're partway through that you're not going to finish.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think um, it's difficult not to as the time gets shorter. It's difficult not to feel compulsion,
An urgency.
urgency to do more, and because it always amazes me when people say, "Well, I just don't have any ideas. I'll use AI because I don't know what I want to write about or think about or do or for a project or research or coming up with ideas is I have more ideas than I have time to execute and always have.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I read a really interesting study about the difference between creative professionals and creative beginners is
Mm.
that the beginners will spend a lot of time coming up with ideas and then a little bit of the time on execution. Whereas the creative professionals generate a massive number of ideas very quickly and then refine and refine and refine and refine to get
Or discard. It's like,
discarded and so on.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's spilled out of my brain, but it's useless.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, then that's so the more ideas, so many ideas, books and books of ideas that, yeah, but rushing through them is not a way to do it either.
And there's a line from a song, and I can never remember the song, the whole song, but just one
Hut Sut
line.
Ralston on the Rillera and the Brawler Brawler Suet. Is that the line?
No, in fact, I have never heard those syllables put together before in my life.
It's a nonsense song from the
Which
40s, I
it
think.
sure sounds like it, but no,
Like
what
Mersey,
about
it was
it?
popular when Mersey Notes and Dozy Notes.
Ah, okay. My grandmother used to sing that to me,
Yeah.
but no, I never heard the other one. But this line from a song that jumped out at me at the time that I remembered ever since, and it's exactly what this is. It's don't hurry, but don't wait.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
That is a profound 4 words, 5 words if you include the but. And you should always include the but.
I was going to say that, and I'm glad I didn't.
But no, I think that's a good way to live. Don't
Yeah.
hurry, but don't wait.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for the perfect time is now.
Yeah,
So,
because
um,
if not now, when?
yeah. Yes. Well, yeah, that's the concluding line of the one of my favorite quotations from Hillel. If I'm not for myself, who will be? If I'm only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? So So, okay. I recommend people watch his speech, which again, well, there's a link in the description, and I think that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Another one down.
yeah,
Good work.
yeah.
Thanks for showing up. Be sure to like and share and recommend to your friends. Post subject matter for us to discuss. We would really like to hear from you.
And until we see you next time, be thou
A good night.
and true.